I've been looking forward to Shadow Warrior 3 ever since I saw a trailer for it about a year ago. I was attracted to the beautiful colors, the fun enemy design, the interactable combat arenas. It looked like they'd been influenced heavily by Doom Eternal, a game I've talked about a lot on this channel. And I'm happy to report that's definitely the case. It's impossible not to talk about Doom Eternal when talking about Shadow Warrior 3, because Doom Eternal is an important game for the FPS genre. I've been waiting 2 years for someone to take what Eternal established and make it their own, and here they've finally done it. Many have taken the wrong lessons from Doom Eternal's success. They think air dashing, meat hooking, glory killing, and weapon swapping is why it developed such a dedicated fanbase. It's not. It's the underlying philosophy that supports those mechanics, and without it, the mechanics wouldn't be as satisfying as they are. Before we get into Shadow Warrior's excellent gameplay and mechanics, let's look at the rest of the game. I should tell you that I'm coming into Shadow Warrior 3 as a rookie. I didn't play the original, the remake, or the sequel. I'm just a guy who thought this game looked awesome, and I played it. As someone new to the series, I found the story to be quite strange, kinda confusing and hard to pay attention to. Ultimately, I guess it doesn't matter because this game is definitely all about gameplay, but they definitely put a lot of work into the cutscenes, so I'm gonna assume that people who care about the Shadow Warrior story and characters will be happy to see that. The story isn't filled with shocking twists or important character moments, at least I didn't find any. And unfortunately, your sidekick speaks with a voice that sounds like the most irritating impression of a Bruce McCullough character I've ever heard.
That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. But I think I might have a plan to save us and the world. Oh yeah, like you're not a complete egomaniac, pretending to be some kind of hero when all you ever do is make things worse.
Oh yeah, the government wanted me to tell you that in the sewer there's this animal that's killing everything and nothing can stop it, and the only thing that can even slow it down is really expensive perfume.
Oh, sorry, my emotions are making me testy. Listen, I just don't want to be alone tonight. Although I do want to be alone when I wake up, if you know what I'm saying.
I think the voice acting overall is fine, but the voices don't seem to match the mouth movements on the characters. There's a lot of humor in the game, a lot of it is very pun-based, referential, or lowbrow. I was amused. It didn't really make me laugh, but I smirked a few times, and there's one line near the end of the game that had me laughing so hard I had to pause the game. There's plenty of lore pages to read through, but that's not really story, that's lore. The actual story, what's happening in the game, just kinda feels like whatever to me. Gotta get from one place to the next and kill the giant dragon. Okay, got it, let's go have some fun. As you may have noticed by now, the art style is gorgeous. In my experience, Shadow Warrior 3 has been the most visually impressive game put out in a while. You may say LOL Horizon Zero 2 The Horizoning or whatever, but I didn't play that. I played this. And usually, I don't stop what I'm doing to just look around. I did here. The vibrant colors and hypnotic glow of the world constantly cause me to just stare at the landscapes. And it's not just the world that impresses me. Many of the enemies are incredibly imaginative and colorful, and more importantly, instantly recognizable in the chaos of combat. Gore effects are fun, execution moves are detailed and disgusting, though they sometimes lack a certain impact. Weapon models are all unique, so you know instantly what you have in your hands. The most incredible visual in the game is the particle effects and glowing powers. Anything with lasers or magic is just so stunning. I was torn between looking away due to the overwhelming brightness and staring with my eyes wide open because I was hypnotized. It can be too much, I won't lie. Sometimes there's so much happening on screen that I had no idea who I was attacking or if I was even hitting someone. But there's something about the flow of combat and the incredible visuals that made me not care about moments when things got out of control. I just laughed and shot my weapons like a madman, screaming, "Die, motherfuckers!" as I tried to push my way out to a better vantage point. The weapons are punchy and satisfying. Every weapon plays a very clear role in your arsenal, nothing feels redundant. The grenade launcher explodes, the shuriken launcher stuns, the Uzis shred. And all of your upgrades are done in a very similar Doom fashion. You've got unlockable upgrades for your character like health, elemental damage for your sword, faster recharging chi power. There's challenges to complete that give you more upgrade points. And for each gun, there's 3 upgrades, like increasing ammo capacity, adding elemental damage to Uzi bullets, adding a freeze effect to the Basilisk, which is amazingly good, and oh. My god. No lie, I think this is one of the best shotguns of all time. It just feels amazing to shoot, and soon I slipped into my old playstyle of quick switching weapon combos followed by full auto kill. It's glorious. In a very smart decision, they've made all the important items stand out in very bright solid colors that clearly communicate what they are and where. This is where we gotta start really getting into Doom Eternal. When Doom Eternal was in development, they realized that since the game has the potential to get so fast and chaotic, items in the stage need to be super obvious, much like how they were in the late 90s arena shooters like Quake 3 and Unreal Tournament. Director Hugo Martin often says that if you're driving at 100 miles an hour around a racetrack, if you want to tell the driver something, it needs to be in a big, bright, obvious sign. If you're gonna say something to the driver, you can't whisper it, you gotta scream it. This led some people to criticize the game for its bright, colorful items because they stick out when you're looking at the game. But actually playing the game, you'll be very grateful for the bright, clearly communicated item locations because you're moving so fast and managing so many things, you can't think. Shadow Warrior 3 learns that lesson from Doom Eternal. Red items are health, blue items are ammo, yellow items are power orbs, green objects are environmental interaction like grapple points or wall run spots. It couldn't be any clearer. You're never gonna pick something up or shoot it and not know what you're gonna get. So let's get into the gameplay. Aside from the obvious inspirations like the air dash, grapple hook, finishers which are kinda like glory kills, Shadow Warrior 3 has Doom Eternal's resource management and motivation for quick swapping. Even with ammo capacity upgrades, on your first playthrough on an appropriate difficulty, it'll be hard to just ride one weapon. Even on multiple playthroughs with a good understanding of the mechanics, I frequently run out of ammo for guns I tend to overuse, so I was always switching to something I tended not to use as much just to survive on my way to get more ammo. Swapping weapons skips recovery animations, leading to very fun improvisational combos across your arsenal. Instead of shooting the Basilisk and waiting for the next round to load, you can skip straight to the grenade launcher and fire, and then return to the Basilisk and it's ready to go. You're going to want to experiment with quick swaps like this to raise your damage output as the fights get more challenging. The enemies are all deadly in their own ways. The Hattori is defensive and will block your bullets, but if you hit him with the Basilisk, he opens up, and then you could stun him with the shurikens and empty out your shotgun on him. The Slinky Jakku is super mobile, very hard to lock down, and he drops hazards all over the arena. The Oni Hanma is like your Hell Knight, constantly charging in to push you around, very tanky and dangerous. The Mogura twins drill around under the ground, spreading magma across the floor and popping up for a short time so you can get a few hits. And laser shoguns open their armor to expose their weak point while charging up a blast, or you can use your chi push to spin them around and expose another weak point on their back, and then you can empty out your Uzis and watch the sparks fly. Resources are replenished not just by finding slowly respawning pickups around the arenas, but by your actions in combat. Killing enemies with your sword drops ammo, and you can upgrade the sword to cause an ammo drop even on a slash that doesn't kill. Killing enemies with guns causes them to drop small health pickups. I'll find myself close to death and I'll quickly turn and see a group of 2 or 3 small guys, and I'll blow them up with the grenade launcher and scoop up just enough life to survive a couple more hits. And here and there I'll toss in a sword slash just to make sure I have a few rounds in my guns. Cause it can be hard to get those ammo pickups in the level, man. You can just get overwhelmed and half your guns are empty and it's totally your fault. Another mechanic taken from Doom Eternal is that when you get hit at low health, you're taken down to 1 HP and given a moment to recover if possible, eliminating that frustrating "what the fuck, what killed me" feeling you can get in a lot of other chaotic fast-paced shooters. I felt like I was always thinking about something while I was fighting, because on top of resource management, you're using your chi push to give yourself some space between you and the crazy amount of demons, you're using grapple points to move around, you're triggering arena traps to take out a couple threats, you're using 3 different elemental explosives, you're dealing with multiple unique AI types, And occasionally you have enough power to use a finisher, which is an insta-kill on any demon in the fight, and you can use their weapon for a while. This ranges from simply ripping out a small guy's head and throwing it as a freeze bomb, to opening a fucking vortex in the sky and sucking everyone into it while you unload everything you have. Or how about we rip the giant drill out of this enemy and carry it around, obliterating everything in our path, even if it's so huge and impractical that I can't see what the hell I'm doing. It's awesome. Finishers are also an instant health refill, so sometimes I'm trying to save up 2 finishers to spend on a big guy, but I gotta use one on a small guy just to not die. It's a great system. The animations on the big guy finishers can definitely feel a bit long, but I think it's okay because you aren't using these things like glory kills. It's more like Doom's chainsaw, but it doesn't refill. You gotta work to get enough to use it, so it's not abusable or repetitive. You get a finisher here and there in a fight. It's not all the time. Maybe in an update they can add some more finisher kills because it does get a bit boring watching the same one every time. My favorite is probably cutting the hat guy in half. The things you can do in this game made me smile so much. And we're not done. We haven't even talked about the reloading mechanic, which might be the best mechanic in the game. When you think of classic video game arsenal types, there's really 2 ways to do it. 2 to 3 weapons that you have to reload individually, which works well for games that have sort of a tactical pace or a realistic feel to them. And then there's the mega arsenal, where you have 6, 7, 8, 9 weapons, which don't need to be reloaded and simply fire from their ammo pool, which works in fast-paced 90s style shooters like running gun titles and arena shooters. If you put a 90s arena shooter arsenal in a tactical shooter, it would break the game entirely. And if you put a tactical shooter arsenal in a 90s arena shooter, you'd ruin the pace. The defining traits of each arsenal make them incompatible. When you have an 8-weapon arsenal, but every single weapon has to be individually reloaded, it's a nightmare. A game with the constant intensity of Doom or Shadow Warrior simply doesn't provide the time needed to reload all those weapons while in combat, mainly due to no cover. So you would think Shadow Warrior, with its 6-gun arsenal and running gun attitude, wouldn't have reloading. But it does. Shoot 6 bullets and reload. Shoot 4 shells and reload. So it has reloading, but there's also a quick swap reloading mechanic. If I shoot 2 pistol bullets, switch to the shotgun, and go back to the pistol, it has reloaded itself off screen. What does that mean? It means that Shadow Warrior 3 is the first game I've ever seen to simultaneously satisfy the instincts of the console generation first-person shooter players by offering them the ability to reload their guns as they hold on one gun for a while, and satisfy the run-and-gun generation by implementing a rewarding method of avoiding reload animations through the weapon swapping mechanic. It's fucking brilliant, and it's such a smart way to push unfamiliar FPS players into the weapon swapping playstyle. On top of that, slashing your sword works exactly the same as weapon swapping. Sword slashing reloads your guns. Once I figured that out, I became far more aware of my sword use in combat. I started sneaking in sword attacks more often, even on big demons, just so I could ride that shotgun or the Uzis a little more, which of course was dropping more ammo pickups for me with every sword slash. This is not an oversight, this is intentional and leads to very smart and stylish play. But if the sword auto-reloads all guns off screen, and animation cancels your shot recovery, that means you can turn the grenade launcher into this. It means you can shoot all your Uzi bullets and then slash and be back at a full magazine. I'm calling it sword swapping. I'd almost say it was broken, but no. It fits so well into the flow of combat. I can speak from experience. This game seamlessly combines the rewards and mechanics for high-level weapon swapping of modern FPS games like Ultra Kill and Doom Eternal with the raw 90s reptilian brain satisfaction of holding the trigger down on your chain gun. Do you see how quickly this game has turned me into some kind of fanatic? I didn't even really notice it as it was happening. Shadow Warrior molded me into someone who was playing in the exact kind of fun way they imagined their game being played as they were designing it. I'm sure of that. It's really good, guys. It has taken the design of Doom Eternal and done something entirely unique in its feel. Though I wouldn't say its replayability or length lend itself to mastery nearly as much as Doom Eternal, I will say that the process of learning how to play it was equally engaging. Not many games have done that for me lately. Obviously, I haven't played everything, but over the past year, the only titles to get this kind of reaction out of me have been Streets of Rage 4 and Sifu. Alright, I'm done praising the combat, but that section alone should let you know that I like this game a lot, and it will absolutely be on my best of the year list, right there next to Sifu, and I absolutely recommend this game. It is certainly not perfect though. Some parts of the game lean way too heavily on scripted events and running through cinematics. Honestly, I don't mind most of these wall running and grappling hook sections. It's part of this game's action-adventure side, like an Uncharted game. There's even a couple of quick traversal puzzles. They're short, they're fine pace breakers, but several parts of the game take you on extended detours of several minutes just running and hopping through the world, and with pretty much no enemies to fight at all. We can make the Doom Eternal comparison here if you like, but in this aspect they're very different. Doom Eternal's platforming sections are typically very brief, and usually once you know your way across, you can do it very quickly. In Shadow Warrior 3, there's nothing to figure out here. No way to get through this faster once you know where you're going. You just gotta run and swing while listening to the dialogue. It never changes. There were so many of these as the game went on that by the time I got close to the end mission, I felt like all the tension had been sucked out of the game, cause I was mostly just running through scripted events. When talking about how the game looks, the art style and levels are truly praiseworthy, but the physics seem underdeveloped at times. There are invisible walls everywhere, you can fall and get stuck in places where you can't jump back to the surface, so you have to fall and die or reload checkpoint. Corpses don't fall in natural ways, enemies can be a little buggy, dudes will occasionally get stuck in geometry. When the game starts a cutscene, my game stuttered pretty bad for a few seconds until it evened out, and as I played the game, every once in a while I would get a weird kind of frame jump, like a stutter where suddenly it felt like I skipped ahead a few frames. Frame rate for me was a bit inconsistent, especially when the exploding dudes are on screen and there's a million particles in the air. I'm hoping for some better optimization in future updates, but I'd say 95% of the experience was smooth. The game isn't very long, it's kinda short really, like 5 to 6 hours. It's an okay length for the experience it delivers since it isn't a full price game, but it won't hold up to repeat playthroughs, especially since the last level has way too much scripted platforming. And it would definitely benefit from a DLC expansion and maybe some kind of endless arena survival mode. When I finished the game, I immediately wanted to play it again, and I did. There's 3 difficulty settings, and while hard mode feels pretty easy for the first hour, things start to ramp up, and I personally feel that it's a decently challenging difficulty for FPS veterans while learning the mechanics on a first playthrough. On repeat playthroughs, however, this game desperately needs an unlockable extreme difficulty. That would have been such a cool surprise. Beating the game and then you get that "now try it on bonkers" difficulty. That's a missed opportunity. The game needs a higher difficulty to encourage mastery, either going in with all of your unlocks or starting fresh. And we need a level selector so we can go find hidden upgrade points we missed and satisfy the compulsions of completionist. I'm impressed with Shadow Warrior 3. I expected it to be good, and it still blew me away. It's not just a mindless run and gun shooter with great mobility. It's smart. It holds you accountable. Its systems are meaningful, its enemy variety is interesting, its arenas are fun and well designed. I particularly love how health and ammo pickups are sometimes on wall running sections. Just another incentive to use different kinds of mobility as you move around the arena fights. It's so good, I need more. This is a huge recommend for everyone who follows my channel. This game is gonna knock your socks off. Thanks for watching. Go buy Shadow Warrior 3 because games like this deserve to be supported.